All right, I will call to order at 7:01 p.m. This is the Wednesday, February 20th, 2018 Finance Committee. On the agenda for this evening, we do have, for the FY 2019 budget, we have the Chief Marty from the Police Department. We have Mr. Pomprian, Town Administrator, to discuss the Administration Department's reserve fund transfer for Town Council, and then just budget updates and reviews. And with that, I will ask Chief Marty to please come on up. Thank you for coming this evening.
No problem.
Sorry, I'm pulling out your budget. I forgot to do that.
Sure.
beforehand.
Take your time.
All right. Thank you for your patience.
Sure.
So I'll turn it over to you to kind of walk through the budget. Because we have kind of newer members, any pertinent information just over how the department works, anything you foresee in the future, and any challenges that you have.
Okay.
Great to add in.
Well, and as you know, Scott, and my budget is probably the same as every other budget in the town. It's a bottom line budget rather than a line item budget. Although we do break out some lines so that we can kind of show some of how our money's spent. We don't go into great detail about those lines. And so one line generally always feeds another, because it's a bottom line budget. We can spend the money on anything we want. The other unique thing about our budget is it's 93.3% personnel related. There's only like 6%, 6.7% that's the stuff that we need in order to support those personnel. I'm not talking about clothing or anything like that. That's all in the personnel line. So there's very little. It's like $180,000 of my budget is stuff, paper and stuff. The rest is all personnel costs. So there's really not a lot we can do in reducing our budget. We do try to keep it level funded, just as the mandate from the town. There are some things that go up yearly, like maintenance agreements and those kinds of things, but generally speaking, our budget only goes up because personnel costs go up. Scott, I did want to make one correction on our budget, and
Yes.
that was on line 57410, college reimbursement.
Okay.
It reads in the budget 26,200, and that should be 23,300. So I saved you guys some money already.
Awesome. So we're going to have all the departments in then, since that's the theme. No, thank you.
So other than that, there are no other changes. We've moved money around here and there, or lines around, but no other changes. I've asked for a very minimal increase to prisoner watchers. So our prisoner watch staff, I don't know if Chris, if you guys employ those kinds of folks in your place, but so they'll watch prisoners for us when nobody else wants to, which is usually the weekends at 3:00 in the morning, and we give them a call, and they've been at $12 an hour for like forever. We figure the total cost in that's going to be $600 a year, not a huge impact on the budget. So that's one increase that we've asked for. Other than that, did you get my budget memo that I sent?
Yeah, I do have that.
There was an idea in there.
Is that the admin sergeant?
Yeah, we're tanking that.
Really? That's a
Yeah,
good idea.
it is an excellent idea,
For that one.
and we really need it. And I think it's a novel idea, and I think it's a very needed position. But I don't know that the town's budget can support that
It's too bad.
this time.
I know the sergeants are very worked. They have a lot of different things that they do. I don't know if you work in the Bill's department, but each sergeant has more than one task of handling his patrol. They have other things they have to do. I think it's what I gather, minimal of 3 other tasks that they do upon taking
Oh,
care
at
of
least,
it.
depending
At
on who the
least that,
sergeant
yeah.
is and when they're working.
Yeah.
And they have to work the road.
And they monitor, they go to calls,
Right,
they
so-
supervise, so was a great idea. It's too bad that you weren't going to go forward with it.
Yeah, I just don't think the town can handle it. You know, it's only $8,000, when I say only, but it's $8,000. You know, because we would hire from within a patrolman,
Yeah,
so, and we wouldn't ask to have that backfilled.
okay.
So it'd only be, you know, from a top step patrolman to a bottom step sergeant, wage is like 8,000 something. So I'm gonna keep that on the books for next year.
Great.
It's still, you know, it's absolutely needed. So not only will they take all of the sergeant's extra admin duties into one person, it'll take some of what the lieutenant does on the day-to-day stuff, and which is absolutely necessary because he's overloaded and he can't help me with the things that I need help with. So,
It's a great idea. It's too bad you weren't going to do it this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's too bad you couldn't use some of the savings in college expenses and just get a very small increase to the overall budget from the town.
Yeah. No,
I would.
No, I understand that, and I don't know that it's fair for the town to ask for that right at this point in time.
Mary, you have a question?
And Chief, had you thought, and I know we've done things creatively other years, is maybe starting that in January so that it only impacts the year for 50% of it, budget-wise? It's just a thought, because we've
No,
done
I
things
haven't thought
before.
that, or thought
That's a
about that.
possibility.
I would have to, obviously, you know, I haven't even approached the sergeants union with this, because it's obviously a change.
Yeah.
So I don't think they'd have a problem with it, really, to be honest with you. I've also thought about just making this position with the 4 that I have now, but that would take my swing sergeant off, and I really need, I mean, that would be fruitless, because I need the supervision. You know, I mean, that's their main job, is supervision. All this other stuff that we ask them to do is because we're a small police department.
Yeah.
Everybody has to wear many hats, and it's just, you know, it's unfortunate. But
Well, it's too bad that you can't find it somewhere, because like I said, I'm 100% for that, seeing that how many hats that those guys do have to wear, and also, you know, I understand the lieutenant does also a zillion different things down there, and with
Right.
the regional dispatch coming on his plate also, that's just more of a burden.
Right.
So, you know, I think whatever you can try to do to find that would be a very great asset to your department and to the town.
I think so. Well, we'll keep looking. So none of my budget takes into account regionalization.
Okay.
There's nothing in there that
Okay.
takes that, because it hasn't actually happened yet. So, but I
What's the
understand that.
timeline for that we're looking at?
It's kind of gotten more aggressive. So our idea is, we're gonna pay for those dispatchers out of grant money. It's not gonna cost the town of Ayer a cent, nor should it. Okay, you know, Shirley's assessment plus 911, state 911 grant funding will pay for the 4 additional dispatchers that we need. But we're actually moving forward April 2nd with what they're gonna call regional PSAP. So at that day, on that date, we will take all of Shirley's 911 calls. Well, we're already getting their what they call rollovers.
Yeah.
So if there's nobody there to answer the phone, or they can't, or they're too busy, their call rolls over to us. Right now, they're short dispatchers, so there are whole shifts where they don't have a dispatcher on duty.
Okay.
So they schedule those rollovers, they schedule it just to come to us automatically. Because rollover takes, I think it's like 20 seconds of ringing before it'll roll over to the next town.
Okay.
You know, and that 20 seconds could be life-saving, you know,
Yeah, good.
life-endangering, so. So we already scheduled that, and they're gonna increase more and more, so we've just decided April 2nd, we're gonna do the regional PSAP, and then we're gonna start on the regionalization infrastructure that we need. And as soon as
Okay.
we can get that in place, then we're gonna start.
The,
So-
just curiosity question, on April 2nd, is it still going to have that 20-second delay, or will it come directly in?
No, so the 20-second delay, that's when you have a rollover call. So what
Yeah.
happens is, if somebody calls, we'll say Shirley, somebody calls Shirley, and the dispatcher's tied up and they can't get to that 911 call, after 20 seconds, it automatically rolls over to us. When the state steps in and just switches it, that 911 call comes directly to us. It doesn't go to them first. So there is no lag.
It'd be the same
Okay.
thing if Ayer was tied up, if I'm not mistaken, if your dispatchers were tied up at a, like, multi-call
Yes.
event, you know, it would roll over to Groton or to Littleton.
Littleton's
where your
actually our
backup
backup.
is. Yeah,
Okay.
we have
And there's a
that.
PSAP hierarchy, and they do what are called adjunct switch application interfaces. I've designed a whole bunch of those systems over the years.
Well, now you're just showing up.
So,
Well, they-
I know exactly how the back.
Well, they work great.
Yeah.
They
No,
work
do great.
fantastic.
They do work good.
So, are you gonna have, as part of the grant money from the state, infrastructure improvements to allow you to be an official PSAP instead of a secondary PSAP? Well, since you're now taking on Shirley, you're gonna be, multiple towns means that you're gonna be a centralized PSAP, although a
Right,
regional.
we're gonna be the regional dispatch,
Exactly.
yes.
So that's gonna require some additional infrastructure from a computational standpoint, switching standpoint.
So
backup
all, yeah, so
services
all of those
standpoint.
startup costs,
Yeah.
I call them startup costs, everything that we need to put in place to become a regional, a regional center is coming from state and
Oh,
Iowa.
great.
So they are giving us that, and then as we get into the next fiscal year, fiscal 19, the grant monies that are available to us, because we're a regional center now,
Mhm.
expand tremendously. So right now, we get $23,000 to either pay for dispatchers' salaries or equipment. That's gonna jump to $175,000. Our training grant is like $10,000, that's gonna go to $33,000.
Yeah.
So the grant monies go up, a great deal because we become a regional center.
So you're gonna do a pro forma budget for the new responsibilities as you go forward, so you'll be able to look into the future a little bit?
I'm not really sure yet. There's a lot to work out, a lot we don't know, so this is gonna be a learning experience.
Yeah.
And we're setting ourselves up not only to become just two towns, there may be a possibility of a third town in the, after I retire. Which isn't too far away, to be honest with you, so, yeah.
Okay.
But we will be set up to do that. We will be installing a third workstation as a backup workstation to the two that we already have, and that could always be used by a third person full-time.
Good to know.
Excuse me, I see on your memo that there's a note for reclassification of the lieutenant position.
Yeah,
Can you provide a little bit of color or commentary into that?
that's kind of
I
something.
know that's
Right, so
yeah, through
that's something I'm
personnel.
talking, it's not really a real classification, but I'm talking with the town administrator over that.
Okay,
It's a correction.
correction.
There's a
Okay.
correction in the lieutenant's pay that has not been addressed since we did the reclassification of everybody. And currently, a top step sergeant has no incentive whatsoever to become a lieutenant because they'll be getting less money. So that's an anomaly that, we really have to correct. It's crazy that a top step sergeant is getting paid more than a lieutenant. We get paid, and it's just wild. And it's just an error that was created. So it's something that has to be addressed and fixed.
Okay. On the other question I have is on the cruiser front.
Yes.
So I know we've expanded the police force over the last couple of years. You had 2 new patrolmen 2 years ago,
Yes.
right? It's still 1 cruiser. Are you finding like the asset management okay with that?
Yes, it is. We have plenty of cars to go around. So this is not going to, having these 2 new bodies is not going to impinge upon that. And we're maintaining our 1 car a year rollover. Every 5 years, we get, the
Yeah.
total fleet gets replaced, and that's going to be fine.
Okay.
Yeah, that works fine.
And I saw we still have 1 non-4-wheel drive car.
One
still on
Crown
the
Vic
road.
left for patrol still.
that got stuck in
Gonna
the
be
snow.
gonna
Right.
be going soon.
Yeah, so that's actually our unmarked vehicle. We use that as administrative. It can be used administratively. It can be used for unmarked radar, those types of issues or functions. Yeah, but we do have that 1 left, and it hasn't died, so we're going to keep it running.
That's good. Any challenges you, outside of the regionalization of the dispatchers, any challenges you see
That'll be the
next year?
biggest challenge,
Okay.
is that, as I see it right now, obviously starting to hire all these people, the station's getting smaller and smaller. At some point, we're going to have to think about expansion.
I think we just paid it off too.
Yeah, probably. After 20 years, yeah. So,
Is the old environmental control system gonna support all the additional humans in the heat? that they
it should, yeah. Our facilities maintenance manager, Chuck, does a fantastic job with that. Dan before him did a fantastic job, so it's all yeah, we should be fine on that front.
Good.
We've added, especially in dispatch, we've added some cooling units that are free from the regular units,
Okay.
so that they're standalone and they're inside. And we've done that with a number of our other computer rooms where we need that cooling to keep them down because they're getting very hot. But yeah, we should be fine.
Okay, all right, excellent. Any other questions for Chief Mark?
No, I just, I hope that, you can try to work on that sergeant's position, and hopefully, with assistance from us, if you need it, we can rock our heads together and try to make that come true. I think it'd be, it's very well needed, and I think it would be supported by
Absolutely.
this table. So I
Thank
urge
you.
you to try to get that done if you can.
Okay, appreciate
Would
that.
support you 100%, Chief.
If you want an official motion to request that he add that back into his budget, we can do
Yeah,
that.
I make a motion that Chief Murray add that position of the admin, or this admin sergeant, back into his budget.
I second that. Money well spent.
All right, any further discussion? The only thing you said, it was about $8,000 is the budget impact approximately?
Yeah, I don't have my notes here, but it was approximately that.
8,200? Yeah,
That sounded like-
$8,200.
Okay.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 3-0. So we have the support of the Finance Committee. With that, I know the Board of Selectmen own the final budget that goes on the
Right.
warrant, but you have our full support behind that.
Thank
You
you.
want to discuss
Appreciate
that with
that.
the Town Administrator and the Board of Selectmen.
Okay.
Thanks, Chief. They do a great job. The men do a great job. The men and women
Oh,
of
thank
the
you.
police
Yeah.
department do a great job. The dispatch staff, it's been a great team down there.
Yeah, you guys have a good crew. You really do. Yeah, I'm very happy with the place.
Yeah.
A lot of professional people.
Yep, they do a great job.
And they're hardworking. They're not,
They are.
we don't have a slouch among them, so.
Strong leadership is very important. You do a great job.
Well, I try.
All right.
Thanks, Chief.
All right,
All right,
Thank you.
thank you, guys.
Have a good
Have a great night.
Thanks.
You too.
Robert.
Mary, have a great night too.
Take care.
All right, so I'm going to hand out, these are the updated budgets. Just if you guys want to go through these.
Is the library's not coming to?
No, library is March 28th. March 28th.
My highway was supposed to come.
Highway was supposed to come on March 14th.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Welcome to the
I don't think he wants to come back.
No,
Don't blame him either. All right, so next on the agenda, we have Mr. Pompier, the Town Administrator. Discuss two things, go through kind of the administration budgets for one, and also we have a reserve fund transfer for Town Council. How are you this evening?
Mr. Chairman, members of the Finance Committee, long time no see. Thank you for having me this evening. I have a lot of information, so I have all of my notes.
Excellent.
A lot of matters before you. One of the things I had asked the chairman, and I mentioned the last time I was before you, for March 28th, if the committee, through the chair, would, after the library presentation, I'd like to make a brief presentation to the FinCom on the government reorganization. I think it's important that the FinCom be fully apprised of the reorg and the changes. Some of them do have impact on the financial operation, and there may be some minor costs on that. So if we could do that on the 28th, because
Yeah, no problem.
take the library
problem.
first, and I will be bringing Ms. Copeland, Mr. Johnston with me,
Okay.
and Ms. Gabri for that meeting.
All right, we do have, I did tell the library, they were right at 7.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So we're interested to hear from the library as well.
As we
And Mr. Chair, just before we start, too, real quick, just sort of for the committee's benefit, because before you know it, it'll be May 14th town meeting. So March 28th will come before you for the government reorg. The Board of Selectmen just happened today have changed their March meeting schedule. They are not going to meet on Tuesday, the 6th. They're meeting on March 13th and March 27th. So it's now back to the 2nd and 4th as opposed to 1st and 3rd. So on March 13th, the Board of Selectmen are anticipating to approve the recommendations of the Capital Committee. I believe they were sent to the chair today by Ms. Cabri.
Yes, I haven't had a chance to forward them. on
Yeah,
to the
so
subcommittee.
that's tentative there. March 14th, the Water and Sewer Rate Review Committee is meeting, and their main focus will be to make a rate recommendation on the water and sewer. And if all goes as planned on March 14th, then that meeting's at 3:30. It's in the afternoon. On April 3rd, which is a regular Board of Selectmen's meeting, will be the public hearing on the water and sewer rates, and the board will contemplate voting those rates. So we usually do the hearing, the public session on that. April 13th, Friday the 13th, the warrant closes at noon. And April the 17th, as a BOS meeting, we're looking to approve the warrant because we need to get the warrant to print by Friday, April 20th at noon. So there's a little bit of time in there. Also, we're going to have a by-board meeting on March 20th at 5:30 as well. So just a quick calendar, and we'll keep you apprised as we move forward.
Robert, excuse me, did you say the 13th and the 27th for the selectmen?
Yes, March 13th, yep, and March 27th, yep. So thank you for that. So, Mr. Chair, members of the committee, do you want to do the RFT first, or the budget, or?
Why don't we do the RFT?
Okay.
I love our RFTs.
So let me,
Please.
the chair has the original, and Scott, there's another copy for you.
Oh, thank you.
So, through you, Mr. Chair,
Please.
the reserve fund, as the committee is aware, is $150,000 for FY18, and it is designed as a fund to address unexpected or extraordinary costs, which in all towns do happen from time to time. The town council budget, which we can talk about in more detail for FY19, is one of those budgets that there is, it can be frustrating. There is some fluidity to it in the sense we do our best to budget for it, taking into account existing legal matters before the town, projected legal matters against the town. But as all of you can appreciate, I wish we had a crystal ball. There are things that happen that we are unexpected mid-year or so forth. That, unfortunately, is the case with the FY18 Town Council budget. For FY18, I put forth a budget for $120,000, which I appreciate the committee's support on, and was approved by town meeting. So on Tuesday, February 20th, I went to the Board of Selectmen with the reserve fund transfer, and it was amended. As you can see, it was originally, the request was for $50,000, and it was amended to $70,000. The reasons for this request is that over the course of FY18, we've incurred significant unforeseen and extraordinary legal costs, which were not known at the time of the development and passage of the budget. As a result of these costs, there's currently only $3,949.06 remaining of the $120,000. That should say FY 2018 budget, sorry, on the memo. And I have attached the Munis report. So what is driving this? So the town still has 5 monthly bills to pay. So we're billed monthly by town council. And just so the committee knows, per town policy, the town administrator is responsible for this budget. So all requests to access and use town council have to come through my office. So there's a central point of control on that. We have 5 monthly bills remaining, February through June. In working with town council and the finance manager and looking at it, we estimate that to be approximately $8,000 a month, which is $48,000 to get to the end of the year. Additionally, as a result, and this is what's one of the main drivers in FY18 that was unforeseen, is there is currently a lawsuit against the town referred to as Worthingdale versus the town of Ayer, and this has to do with the eminent domain taking of the access property and the Advocates Building by the town for the parking project. A suit has been filed against the town over that eminent domain taking, and that was something, the suit didn't happen until late summer, early fall it started, so this was unexpected costs on that. Additionally, as of recently, there was an additional $19,195 in litigation costs related to preparing to defend the town in this matter. So the $48,000 is our general, that's for the next 5 months for the general legal. Then this $19,195 in the preparation. And then lastly, as the committee is probably aware, the warrant was mailed today. There's going to be a special town meeting on March 19th to update the town's zoning bylaw. And the planning board and the town administration, we've been working on this since the fall of 2017 to the present. And the associated legal costs for the zoning bylaw and the solar bylaw that are going to be proposed at town meeting, with the legal costs for the special town meeting, was $2,805. So that's where the $70,000 request comes from, and I don't in any way say that lightly, because I'm aware that the balance is $150,000 in the reserve fund, and there may be other needs. However, this is the situation as it is today on the 28th.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it was unavoidable, wasn't
Yep.
it? It is.
So the budget itself for town council has grown steadily over the last 4 or 5 years. Hopefully it will go down at some point.
Yeah, so, and this is, it's sort of timely because we're going to talk about the town council budget. So why don't we should do that next after the RFT discussion.
Okay. Any questions on the reserve fund transfer?
No.
Chris?
No, not at all.
No. Unfortunate, but I think it is necessary. So with that, if there are no other points of discussion, I'll take a motion to approve the reserve fund transfer for town council account 01151-53090 in the amount of $70,000.
I move that the committee approves $70,000 transfer.
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
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 Chair says aye. 3-0. Thank you.
Thank you for your support and your time on that.
Thank you, Robert.
Thank you. So, Mr. Chairman, perhaps this is maybe a good segue, since we're on it, to talk about the town council budget, and then we can jump to the admin real quick. So, as many know, the town council budget resides, as I mentioned, under the town administrator, and as I mentioned, it's one of the account that's often can be in flux due to the unforeseen or unexpected. And the chairman is correct, as he said, over the last 5 years, if you look, it has been having an upward trend over the last 5 years. There was a period before that there was
atmospheric over the last couple of years.
Yeah, over the last couple of years. And prior to that, there was a brief sort of lull, and then prior to that, there was substantial town council matters when there was these wrongful death suit with the police matters from way back. So there has been an upward tick on that, And we do take that very serious because the town council, the legal services is really part of our business that we're in. There's a lot of matters before the town that require professional legal advice and legal services. So what I've put forth in the budget, so last year was $120,000, and I have put forth for FY 2019 $130,000, so a $10,000 increase, which represents about an 8% increase. And when I look at the last year, so FY 2018, what are the issues that are driving this budget? The principal one has been the litigation lawsuit on the eminent domain, the Worthingdale versus the town of Ayer, was the principal driver of the RFT we just talked about. And I unfortunately do not anticipate it to be resolved prior to FY19. So additional costs may continue on that one. I anticipate it to go into FY19. Additionally, and the town, through the Board of Selectmen, the Board of Health, the Building Commissioner, as you're all aware, over 2017, 2018, have really taken a proactive approach on property enforcement. And there have, of course, legal costs associated with that, but there have been great successes with that in property enforcement. The McNiff Farm, 14 Williams and 128 Washington Street. The building commissioner we have now is very proactive on code enforcement. And again, these do, the nature of the business, require access or advice from counsel and for the town to be represented in court where appropriate. So again, in 2018, though there were costs associated, I believe overall it was a positive for the community in terms of public safety in addressing some of these problems. And I appreciate the efforts of the Board of Health, the Building Department, and Town Council on that. I anticipate for the year moving ahead, not the enforcement at the magnitude we've had over the last 24 months. In other words, those were significant. The building commissioner does have some other properties on West Main Street and some other locations in some state of enforcement. So again, I think that's manageable within the budget. Lastly, the issue of land use, which ties into the zoning bylaw. On March 19th, with hopefully the support of town meeting, I think that the zoning bylaw, which has not been updated in a long time and has some significant problems with it, we'll be successful with. This past year, for FY 2018, there were some uptick in costs related to solar projects that we had to get down. You've probably heard of Ayer Solar 2 project. The planning board has had its hands full with some of these solar things, hence why there's going to be a solar bylaw considered on March 19th. So those were to give you sort of a snapshot of the drivers for FY18. As we look to FY19, again, there's the Worthingdale matter. There's some further zoning and planning work that is in there. The DPW superintendent also, we're always resolving issues with easements and drainage, and we're looking to get some more streets accepted. So we have done most of the low-hanging fruit for street acceptances to become public ways. The positive thing in doing that is then those streets, once they're officially accepted, factor into our calculation for Chapter 90 money. So we do have still some out there that require some legal work. And I think in the year ahead, too, there will be some, as the issue of health insurance remains largely unresolved on the federal and state level. With health insurance changes, we foresee in the year ahead, whenever there's changes, it involves unions and so forth, and potentially labor council on that. So that I've put forth $130,000, a slight increase. When I was at the Board of Selectmen on the 6th of February, they had suggested increasing it to $150,000, which is a 24% increase. And to be honest, I want to get us I would like to get back to the downward tick. So I'm just making you aware that the board, but it's at 130 before you, so a $10,000 increase.
So the Worthingdale versus
Yeah.
Town of Ayer
Yeah.
came out of the eminent domain. Is there anything else that could potentially nip us related to the eminent domain on a legal front?
So on the legal front, the suit has been filed and it's in the discovery phase, and the question as to whether it will go to trial or not remains unresolved. So we continue with costs related to this, as mentioned tonight. Ultimately, and we would keep you advised on this, if it were to go to trial, then obviously at the end of any trial, there's a settlement or there's a verdict, if you will, that we would have to cross that bridge at that time. Right now, that's sort of premature, but there have been, and I don't say this lightly, there have been considerable costs in protecting the town and preparing on that front. The other thing is, it's not covered by, some cases or some matters against the town will be covered by the town's insurer, but in eminent domain case, because the town voted it was a willful act, there's no insurance coverage on this. So the other one that is public record for FY 2019, a couple years ago there was a tragic and unfortunate drowning at the Sandy Pond Beach, and a wrongful death suit has been filed on that. That, however, is covered by the town's insurer and is just in the very beginning phases. So, and that's all public, and it's publicly filed with the court. But that's an example where we have insurance coverage for that. Of course, as more claims of that nature can drive the premium up, but it's better, I think, when there's some insurance coverage.
Yeah, I agree.
So I'm going to hold at the 130, despite what the Board of Selectmen said to me. So, and we will keep you updated on this account as we move forward.
I see that the reserve fund is going to be repatriated to the $150,000 level after
Yeah.
this transfer.
Yeah. So there's 150, and I anticipate there might be, I don't want to jinx us, I think there just might be a minor one for veterans benefits maybe
Okay.
for this year. So I think
Yeah.
we're good at 150.
Is that going to come out of free cash?
What?
The replenishment of the reserve fund?
No,
Or is that going to come out of operating?
It's part of the operating budget, so it's kind of like our contingency expense. We've held the 150 for a while, so it's worked out pretty well.
So that's the town council on February 28th.
Looks like your favorite subject.
Yeah. So I just have very briefly, and I made a list to keep it brief,
Okay.
from me, and then I'll answer any questions that the committee has on any aspect of the budget, because though I'm directly responsible for the creation of specific budgets, which I'll go over, at the end of the day I'm responsible, obviously, for the whole thing. So any questions or concerns or further information the committee would like, let me know. So just real quick, as we sit here on the 28th of February, as I mentioned, we'll discuss the reorg on March 28th, and I appreciate that. The outstanding budget issues, as we sit here now, and this is a mixed badge of good news and not so good news, but at the end there's more good news than not so good news. So I'll start on this one. The good news is we budgeted 15% for the health insurance, and we were hoping for 12.5%, and it ended up at 8%. Now, so that's positive on that end. Now, to get to that 8%, we had to make some plan design changes. And when you make plan design changes, they're subject to negotiation with the union, this thing called Section 21, where you have to give back a percentage of the savings. So make a long story short, and Mr. Johnson's going to I've asked him for the committee to get you a one-page analysis on this. For FY19, we have to give back these savings to all of us. It's going to be about $32,000. So why I'm telling the committee this now, we will put that in the budget under health insurance unless there's other suggestion. But it's approximately $32,000. But in the end, I mean, that's a percentage of the savings, which by law you have to do. But overall, the health insurance, through a lot of work, is a favorable as opposed to unfavorable. The other things that are underway, the patrolman's contract expires on June 30th, so there's negotiations underway with the patrol contract. The dispatcher's contract is also up June 30th, so negotiations are underway on both of those. I've stressed to both of the unions that, and they're committed to this, to get these negotiations completed so that it can be considered at town meeting. So for the folks that are new, the funding has to go through town meeting. If they don't conclude, and this has happened, then we have to do a revisit with like the fall town meeting and retros and so forth. But we're trying to really get those two done. Also, the Department of Public Works Superintendent Wetzel has a personal service contract that expires on June 30th, and the fire chief's contract expires on June 30th, so we'll get those underway as well, and I'll get that information to the committee once it's finalized. The other thing, Mr. Chair, I think we should discuss, and maybe we could do this on the 28th or at the pleasure of the committee, is the FY 2019 cost of living, or COLA. Now, traditionally, the COLA was done on recommendation by the Personnel Board would make a recommendation to the Board of Selectmen. And right now, there is not a Personnel Board in its old form, and when we go to the new form of government, I have a proposal for that new form to address the issue of COLA with representatives from here and some other folks. So I think, in absence of the Personnel Board under the current system, because the change hasn't gone through, it defers to the Board of Selectmen. But I believe, and this is no disrespect to the Board of Selectmen, we should do some due diligence on that. There's the Federal Reserve. In other words, we should.
Yeah. So sorry.
No.
So
go ahead.
I was on, I think, the last iteration
Yeah.
of the Personnel Board that officially put a presentation or
Yeah.
a percentage forth, and we used the federal number
Mhm.
as our justification. I think at the time, just as an example, it was like 1.7. We rounded it up to like 2 at that point. So I think that's a good benchmark to utilize.
So I've asked Mr. Johnston to get this information together for the FinCom. So in light, we're sort of in this transition. I think we should have a discussion on that, and very open to what thoughts and recommendations on that. But let's get you the appropriate data to look at that. Usually we get you the Federal Reserve. We do a comparative analysis. We get something from the MMA, and let's look at that. But I think that's something that needs to be decided at some point, whatever it is. There have been years where there have been none. There have been years where it's been 1, years it's been 2. It hasn't been higher than 2 in my time, but yeah. The other thing, real quick, the town of Ayer is a supporter of a program in our public schools called the Teenage Anxiety and Depression Network. It's called TADS for short. And how that works is the town of Shirley pays $4,000, we pay $4,000, the district pays $4,000, and then they raise money. Why I'm bringing this up is a little frustrating. When we did the FY18 budget, I specifically asked Dr. Malone to put this in their budget, meaning Ayer's part, as part of the assessment. It was easier. Well, that didn't happen. So we owe $4,000 for our part, but there's no appropriation for it. So what I'm going to suggest, we've done this before at the town meeting, and I'm open to any other suggestions. We've looked at the town meeting, before the regular town meeting, we've had a special town meeting right before then for a single item. And I think my recommendation is to do the special for that $4,000, so it's for FY18. The good news is, and we'll make sure you have this, for FY19, it's going to be in our budget. It'll be actually under the town admin. I'm just going to put a line for now, so it doesn't get missed. I know it seems like a small thing, but we need to account for it, and I think it's a good program. So I'm open, there's no funding source to tie it into.
Because, we really can't do a reserve fund transfer because it doesn't fall
Right.
into that category because it's not part of the normal operating and day-to-day activities.
That's the rub.
Yeah, so I think the special town meeting might be our only option.
Is sort of a
Sorry.
correction. I mean, we've had, so, but think about that. I mean, we'll still look at it. By board can talk about it. It's a small matter, but it's an important program and so forth. Real quick, when we negotiated the town hall clerical union contract last year, one of the terms in it, because all of the positions in that union have a specific salary, hourly salary. And this argument went back and forth that the union was organized in 2009, and some of the positions the union felt needed are paid too low. Make a long story short, we agreed to do a third-party analysis of the positions. So we took all of the job descriptions. The good news is we did not use the people we used for the other infamous one. The Collins.
But that's my question. That was only 3 years ago. Right?
No, this is the union position.
Oh, the union.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
My apologies.
Yeah. So we did a
Sorry.
new union. The non-union one, which we learned a lot from. This is just the union position. So the Collins Center, which does a lot of municipal work through UMass Boston, is currently doing the positional analysis. Now, what we said is, obviously, if some of the positions come back with a recommendation of low, we're not going to lower people's pay, but we'll see if there's any increases, adjustments. We'll have that shortly. We'll get that to you. So I'm just saying that's a potential out there. The chief mentioned on regional dispatch, just real quick, which I think is turning out, it was concerning in the beginning, but is going to be a real one of our positives on our list for tonight and moving forward. The piece the chief didn't mention is the state 911 is also going to fund the Shirley infrastructure. So if you remember in that IMA, because Shirley didn't forward the money, a Hail Mary was kicked saying that we would forward fund it subject to town meeting, when I knew all along that article wouldn't stand, a chance. So the good news is that provision is out. So the state's going to take care of Shirley on that. Mm-hmm. And the chief gave you the other analysis on the financials there. So that's a positive. On the capital front, we talked about that. One of the things that's out there is this water. You've heard about this water, the PFAS contamination in the water, and the DEP, our Grove Pond well, has this contaminant. We will, when I say we, being Superintendent Wetzel and I, and Ms. Gabri, probably be going back to capital, because we may have to do a significant, what's a carbon plant they call it, to treat the water, that the estimate is somewhere between, and they're trying to nail this down, between $3 to $5 million. The DEP is supposed to change the rule any day now. They keep telling us this, and so the superintendent has put a lot of work, and kudos to our water department, to put together the whole plan to shut down that well, and are trying to be forward thinking as this is the solution. So in the interest of tonight, my list is just to say things that are still outstanding there. Ideally, we'll have to move quickly. I'm thinking capital, FinCom, BOS. Ultimately, the borrow, if that's what it ends up, the funding really should be before town meeting for the 14th of May, because we need to get this thing resolved. Yeah. And this snuck up on everybody. We've been talking about it for a while at Capitol and so forth, but when I say relatively recently, since the late fall. So we'll keep you apprised on that. It will have to go back to Capitol, reconvene Capitol, have them vet it, and then want you guys in the loop.
Sorry, would that have to be a debt exclusion at that dollar value? So it would sit outside of the water enterprise fund?
Excellent question, and I'm going to just say to be determined.
Okay.
You know what I'm
All
saying?
right.
That's a
I'm
fair
just
point.
curious.
Right, absolutely.
So Lisa's inclination is what we'll see.
Yeah.
Just as a note, I was telling Mr. Mary, this draconian requirement to add carbon filters
Mhm.
has been implemented now in 2 cities in Michigan.
Okay,
So the EPA has, gradually, they're going to play, I guess the most egregious go first, right? So we're somewhere on the list, that they've already dropped the ball and said, you have to do this.
now here's the thing on this. Unfortunately, I think I will be receiving the Boston Post cane from Fitchburg when this happens, but ultimately the U.S. Army and the Department of Defense are responsible. And just so this committee knows, we have had discussions with town council to preserve all of our rights and draw the line in the sand and so forth. And ultimately they will pay, but it goes back to my, and I don't say that lightly, my Boston cane, it moves so slow. By the time we get the money, it'll be in
None of us will be here.
it'll be in 2018 dollars, but it'll be 2029 or 2030.
Bitcoins.
Right,
We
bitcoins.
don't actually have currency, so.
So this is a serious thing because we want you to be advised, because one of the requirements when they change the rule is we have to notify all of the public. There's a public notification process, and of course there's going to be people that are concerned, but for tonight I can assure you that we're proactive, we're in good shape, the water is fine, meaning now, and we're putting forth a forward plan. Quickly, the A.S. Shirley Regional School District fields, now you gentlemen were at that last meeting, and my sense from that meeting, and this is my opinion, that they're not anywhere ready. However, I just received an email requesting a placeholder for a debt exclusion. Oh, you saw that. So again, that sort of remains out there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So thank you for that
Yeah.
information. So just kind of a tandem question, because we've had a lot of discussion, actually, I think you and I have had a lot of
Yeah.
discussion regarding the status of Page Hilltop compared to doing the fields, and I was wondering if you could enlighten us on the oil spill that occurred there over the weekend.
Sure.
In like
Yep.
five minutes or less.
On Saturday afternoon, there was an approximately 1,200 gallon oil spill at the Page Hilltop School. The oil vendor they have, which is some big company, apparently there was a scheduling error. This is the information I have. It had already been filled, but for some reason they came back as if it needed to be filled. There was an error in the records. So when they filled it, 1,200 gallons came out, and I guess it happened a couple days before we found out, so it wasn't reported right away. Not the school's fault, meaning and so make a long story short, the positive is that the oil company has taken full responsibility. If you've been by the Page Hilltop School, it's like a Superfund site. There's no threat to the students or so forth. There was a gas smell. We got a few calls on that. But the oil company is taking full responsibility, including all of the cleanup costs.
All right, thank you. I just wasn't
Yeah.
sure if that was related to, kind of the concerns that we had with the overall condition of the school.
And that was the initial inquiry of many, just so you know, Mr. Chairman, you're not alone. So that's sort of the overview of the budget, 50,000 foot on the big issues, but do you have any specific questions on anything or clarifications? And you also know where to find me anytime. Feel free to let me know.
So I went through and updated our budget model
Yep.
with the amounts that Lisa is using. I know you've gone through and you're trying to reduce the budget, which we thoroughly thank you for. And
Yep.
I think we supported spending an additional $8,200 this evening. So I apologize for that.
No, that's okay.
I think it was much needed.
I agree.
Yep.
No, and I appreciate your input and support on that, Mr. Perrell and others, because, that does make the difference. I mean, we don't want to ask for,
Yeah.
And it must have been a tough decision for
It
Chief
was.
Barr to pull that.
Yeah.
It's much needed.
yep,
Yeah, I think I told you, one of the town administrators at the town finance committee conference I went to said that a budget is a statement of the town's values, and you know, always supported the first responders to the best of our
No,
abilities. And,
Absolutely, and I think
yeah,
it's a
that-
great proposal.
Yeah, okay, excellent. So, again, just kind of working through, I apologize, we spent more money. You answered my question about the group health insurance.
Yep.
Coming in at 8%.
Mm-hmm.
So on the file here that I have, and Robert, I have extras if somewhere.
That's okay, yep.
The shaded ones are the ones that have been reduced since our first look.
Yeah.
Everything, to my knowledge, looks very in line, so I don't have any specific questions at this time on the budget.
Okay.
I'm sure if we do, we'll definitely reach out. Sorry. On the one-time expenses for the building and property maintenance,
Mm-hmm.
there's an LCD sign. I'm just curious if we're,
Okay, let me just, for town hall, was it?
yeah, town hall LCD sign.
What's the number on that? I'm just,
It got reduced. It was originally, I think, like 10,000, and it came down. I don't have my original one with me. But there was a note that the building maintenance had a different idea. It was a different approach.
It's not the same one that we approved for capital for the fire department.
Yeah, the message one at the fire department?
Yeah, I think maybe it's,
I don't think.
Maybe, is it different?
let me see, okay. Yes, I've got it, my apologies, yep, so
No,
for
it's
town
okay.
hall, the LCD main directory display, Mr. Schultz originally had 9,500, and we reduced it to 3,000. What that is two digital directories for the town hall. So in other words,
TV that's.
yeah, it's even flatter than that. So when you come in, it will have, it's the directory of all of the offices, and I
Oh,
believe it
okay.
has the capability also if people are in or out, indicating.
so it's electronic.
It's electronic.
It's on the board.
Yeah, and it was originally, he had 9,500, it's 3,000 now.
Okay.
So he's proven to be very good in refining the pencil and getting good prices, so that's good, so,
That's a good
Yeah.
attribute.
Yeah, very
Yeah.
good. Thank you.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if it was one that was going to be out front and we were going to turn into Vegas.
yeah, there is, as Mr. Diamond mentioned, for the
Yeah.
Capitol Fire, that's that one, which is an exterior one,
Okay.
yeah.
That way we can tell the town to score the next Super Bowl with the Patriots win.
Yeah.
Tell us something.
Any other questions for Mr. Pomerantz?
No.
Great. Well, if something comes up, let me know. I'll
Okay,
stay in
absolutely.
communication.
Thank you very much.
And we'll see you on the 28th.
On the 28th,
Yeah.
we'll see you then. So you
All right.
want to do the discussion on the COLA and the presentation for the town government?
Yeah, definitely. So I know you've got the library first, and that's important, absolutely important. We'll do a brief thing on the reorg. And then if we have time, we'll be prepared to start the discussion. Let's see where we're at we'll get you all the COLA data.
So did
Okay.
that, the last time we were meeting, you mentioned that the governance change was stuck in the legislature?
Yeah.
Has that been-
It's still in the, it has moved from the House, the State House of Representatives, over to the State Senate. And we're hopeful that by April, the governor will be signing it, because it doesn't go into effect till it passes the Senate, governor signs it. So it's moving as expected.
At glacial speed?
Glacial speed. At glacial speed. Hence why I think we need to really discuss we have a plan on the COLA. So,
Okay.
among other things. Okay.
Just the
Yeah.
other thing before you go
Yeah.
is, which we can discuss at by board also on the
Mhm.
20th, but we should also pinpoint a joint meeting between Board of Selectmen and Finance Committee to review the
Yes.
budget. Which leads me to just one
Yeah,
other
sure.
question. Have the Board of Selectmen or any members of the Selectmen had any comments on the budget so far to this point? Or against?
So there is, the capital plan is put forth by the Capital Planning Committee, is supported by the Board of Selectmen, and they understand this water issue. The overall budget, I think both the FinCom and the Board of Selectmen, we're both on the same page at this point.
Okay.
Yeah, and I will inform them, and I'll meet with the police chief on your recommendation tonight, which is appreciated. And
All right.
but yeah, we do need to. That's one of the things for buy board is to nail down
Okay.
a finance session.
All right.
One final thing, I'm sorry.
Yes, no.
One other article that I'll come back, Miss Antonellis, my assistant, is working on the information. As you know, the town set the the retail license to 1. And Mr. Hillier is moving rapidly forward for the retail. Town meeting, if we want to tax, we can tax up to 3% of the sales. Town meeting needs to adopt the statute. So we want to get the info. We would like your input on that and your recommendation, either for or against. We should.
Completely for it.
So, and we need to talk about,
Yep.
this is a new frontier in the sense,
Motions.
remember when we projected on the meals tax, you did a
Yeah.
lot of work on that. It was 60,000 at that time. Now it's up to about 100 and,
Right.
right. So,
Yeah. It's-
so anyway, that was my last thing.
Our estimate was grossly low.
So, all right.
All right.
Gentlemen, thank you,
Thank you
as
very much.
always. Okay.
All right, so everyone has a budget. We just had a good walk through a couple of things. You guys can peruse. I have the updated file if you have any questions. So currently, right now, so kind of what I look for are the percentage increases. So if you go on to the very last page here, right at the top, you'll see the total operating budget. So right now, we're at 3.97% increase. That's including one-time expenses. The line below that, 3.82, is without one-time expenses. So that includes, at 3.82, but part of what that includes is like 8% on the health insurance, which really drives up, which is a large driver. Also, the borrowing is up much higher this year because of capital. So those are really our 3 big drivers: the insurance, the principal, and then the health insurance. We can see the school assessment is about 3% higher. Neshoba Valley Technical High School assessment is 7% higher. And then the stabilization is just a number I plugged in to get us to 0 at the bottom, since we have to 0 our budget. The revenue enterprise line is still in flux. That will be impacted with the water sewer rate committee and then the public hearing on the 3rd. So that won't be finalized until just before we go to print. Everyone understand what that number is? Okay. And that's it. So just a couple of things on the budget model itself. So we have our omnibus. So this is the way that, of course. So sorry, Mary.
You do this every year, I know, you do it deliberately.
Next time I will bring binoculars for you.
That'd be nice.
Oh, I'm going to be 2 minutes. So this is the way that it presents to town meeting, and this has links that go back to the detailed working model. The revenue we talked about last meeting, so those have not been updated. I did fill in just what we have pending for capital, 1.6 million, where the funding source is. And then for stabilization, so this is a calculation. Sorry, I can't make this bigger. But basically, it's to calculate, we have 7% is our policy for how much we should have in stabilization, what our balance is, what our revenue is, 7% of that, and then whether we're in compliance or not. And then this is just what we're proposing to put in, our current balance proposal, what we'll end up with afterwards. And then the other piece that I look at is this is sustainability. So this is make sure we're growing within our organic growth, so it doesn't include free cash. So we take our revenue sources, we back out what free cash is, back out our one-time expenses, and then that's kind of what we're left with without those items. And then that's what we're looking to spend, so we're 571,000 in the black. Yes.
That's good color.
Yeah, so that's the budget model. I'll send that out to everyone tonight, or sorry, tomorrow. Anything else on the budget before we move on and start to wrap up? No? Okay.
That's good.
All right, so old business, we don't have any in the mail. We had the reserve fund transfer, and then I also received this letter from Ayer Regional School District, which I'll read. It wasn't what I expected. So it is to the Finance Committee. The Ayer Regional School Committee voted unanimously on December 5th, 2017 in favor of the Fair Share Amendment. The Fair Share Amendment would amend the Massachusetts Constitution to create an additional tax of 4 percentage points on annual income above $1 million, so only those with the highest incomes will pay a little more. The revenue generated by this tax could only be spent on quality public education, affordable public colleges and universities, for repair and maintenance of roads, bridges, public transportation. To ensure that the tax continues to apply only to the highest income residents who have the ability to pay more, the $1 million threshold will be adjusted each year to reflect cost of living increases. Please join us in support of this amendment. Thank you for your time and consideration. So they have some additional information, just kind of what the amendment is, and they're asking us to support that. So I don't know if we want to do anything with that right now. If anyone wants to look at the details on the back, you can look at that. So that's all we have for mail. On minutes, 14th is outstanding. Oh, sorry, it should be the 28th. Oh no, tonight's the 28th.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I get too far ahead of myself sometimes. Upcoming March 14th meeting, currently it's open since DPW is not coming. We'll see how the next couple weeks go with the budget, if any, or any other things going on in town. On the 28th, we'll have the library budget, and then we'll have the town government presentation. And then to be determined, we still need to have a joint session with the Board of Selectmen. Committee updates, Pat, it's still in a holding pattern other than
Yeah.
the possible well issue.
That's the only thing outstanding.
Okay, excellent. By board, we're going to meet on the 20th. You got your invite.
Yeah, I did.
I hope you saw it. Okay. And with that, we'll go to the Finance Committee roundtable. I don't have anything.
I don't have anything.
All right, good. Mary, do you have anything?
No, I was
For
just
round two?
wanted to find out, and I spoke to Robert, and I don't think it's quite clear. When they were here, the school was here, and we had the
Yeah.
meeting, and they were talking about being able to get the athletic complex on for the town election, and they didn't think they could.
For May town meeting?
No, it has to be
Yeah,
election and
for the spring,
town
no,
meeting.
not for the spring election. Yeah, they said they did
couldn't.
not believe they
So
could.
is it still going to be town meeting and then probably the primary in September?
I think that's what they were looking at. The only other option would be a special election, which would then, they would have to foot the bill for completely.
And that makes no sense when you can have
Right.
it in September and just have
Yeah.
the second warrant.
Yeah, it is, even though the question on that actually was if there has to be a certain time frame between the two. That, I think that was the big sticking point.
I believe they even commented that they may not be ready, depending upon the results of the study that they haven't gotten yet, to actually go to present this on the town meeting warrant in May, and it may have to be on the fall town meeting warrant.
Yeah, if they do that, they'll fall probably a full season behind
Yep.
or close to it.
Because we
Yeah.
do have a general election in November, and Susan
Yeah.
had mentioned that if they want to get this on the ballot for that, we got to get to moving on it.
Well, yeah, the primaries are in September,
Right.
which would be the first, unless something else comes up with something else in
Well, I
town.
thought they had everything ready as far as the complex goes.
They have so the study and the proposal have been done. I don't know, I mean, you talk to them and I don't know how prepared information-wise they are, because they need to have public forums and informational sessions. And, you know, from what I know, I think there's been some pushback on the fields, you know, possibly because of the, you know, current state of Page Hilltop. At least in this
And that's a big thing you
town.
hear, Scott, from all the
Yeah,
parents and everything, is we've been talking about the Page Hilltop School for years.
no, I preach into the choir here, so.
Yeah.
You know,
I think I think the long pole of the tent right now is they have to actually get the copy of the study from the consultant that's doing it before they can carry out any official town meetings or public forums or anything, and they don't have that yet.
Yeah, because I think that's going to sway public opinion a
Yeah,
lot.
absolutely.
I think, and I think they're hoping that the study for the elementary schools will come back that they're in good shape, and maybe, you know, well, you know, but instead of needing like an entire rebuild or, you know, refurbishment, maybe we can just pump some money, some capital into it and make everything, you know, last another 20 years.
What are you sniffing?
Glue.
Yeah. Oil.
Yes.
It's free.
And from
Well-
what I hear too, a lot of parents do not want the elementary school to leave town, that they feel
There's that whole
they
factor also.
want that, and that was something that was talked about during the regionalization too. And
Absolutely.
parents want their
That was,
little children going here.
yeah,
Well, that's a thing for them to address, and
yeah.
it's a hurdle for them, and it's gonna be a big hurdle.
I think so, yeah, because there's as much political issues here with, you know, potential of a regional elementary school that they have to deal with as much as financial, which is, you know, how much would it cost? And that was kind of my point to Mr. Gleason. He and I had some communication directly after our last meeting. And, you know, I stressed with him more that when it comes to the elementary school, make sure that you ask the people of Ayer whether they want to keep it in town and are willing to pay extra money for that, versus trying to just make it the most inexpensive path simply because they think it'll pass in Shirley. You know, I want to make sure that
That's what we had to do with the high school building, as being on the building committee. We were driven all the time with that one question, well, we can't get it to go through Shirley, we can't get it to go through Shirley, so that's a big thing.
Yeah, and I think the people in this community will support both projects if they were to move forward. There's the athletics and also the Page Hilltop, whether it's a new school or a major renovation.
We talked about this at Capitol, and we'll remember, if you go back to when they did the original regionalization, and then we had to amend the agreement because the middle school went over to Shirley, but it said on the agreement that each town was
Exactly, I had the agreement with me at the last meeting, it does say
Yeah.
that.
for their own elementary.
Correct.
So what we were wondering is, if that is the case, how does a regional school board tell the town of Ayer what they should or shouldn't do? Does it mean that we have to amend this agreement again if they decide?
They would have
You would
to.
have
That's
to,
what would have to happen.
Yeah,
Which my bigger fear on that is that if they reopen the regionalization agreement, they're going to try and mess with the
Monies.
the money funding.
And what that'll mean is Ayer's gonna have to pay a higher percentage.
Exactly.
exactly, and
and
that's
you
not
know,
gonna,
it's
that's
getting
gonna be a
tired
huge
of being
pushback.
the wealthy,
Exactly.
yeah,
The posh Ayer
Yeah.
people.
please, please.
Yep.
No, we've been, yeah, where we are is really, it's been 6-7 years of really hard work all around. I mean, you know, the finance committee, the board of selectmen, the town administrator have worked really well together. Departments have done a great job, you know, cutting costs and keeping things under control. And I mean, we're very fortunate to be where we are. And you know, it's kind of that. You know, I joined at the start of the recession, and I remember searching for $10,000 for a turnout equipment, or you know, a couple $1,000s for a new lawnmower, and so I know what it was like, and it's tough, and it
And
It'll
it
flip
can
on you
change
quickly.
in a heartbeat,
Exactly.
too.
It can.
We all know that.
yeah.
Just look at the water treatment.
Exactly,
Yep,
yeah.
both sides,
Up.
boom.
Bang.
Anything else, Mary?
No,
Great.
Okay, all right, thank you. Next scheduled meeting is the 14th, but as I said earlier, we'll see what we have. I'm not gonna meet for just the sake of meeting. I really like you guys, but sometimes you need an extended break to make the heart grow
Yeah,
fonder.
It makes the heart grow fonder, all right. But if we need to be on the 14th, that's fine.
All right, with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn at
Move that we adjourn at
8:16.
8:16.
Second it?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.